Today we're going to talk about my POTS diagnosis and my wonderful cardiologist. And okay, let's get started. So when I got out of the ER, the doctor gave me a list of doctors to choose from. He said, just pick from these 4 doctors, and I looked at the names, and my doctor's name was just to look like the most trusting name. So I picked that one and I called them, and they were able to get me an appointment about 3 weeks out, which is normal, it wasn't too bad. And it was a virtual appointment because we were still in COVID time. It was in April 2019. And I was so nervous leading up to that appointment. I wrote so many things down. I had this papers, and I was making lists, and I had all my blood pressures written down and my pulse rates and different things from that day in April where I wasn't feeling well, and just days leading up to it. And I was just so nervous because I've seen different cardiologists, I've seen neurologists, and they all kind of tell me the same thing. It's always ranged from you're just too skinny, you just need to eat or drink water or eat healthy, and here's a Holter monitor, put on these things. Oh yeah, your heart rate goes fast. Don't know what to tell you. And so I was really nervous that it was just going to be nothing. It was going to be a waste of time, a waste of money, that they were going to tell me you're too young, that for something to be wrong with your heart, which is ridiculous. But these were all my fears and things that I was thinking of leading up to my appointment. So when I had my appointment, I was so shocked and surprised that he wanted to know more and ask me questions and give me details and how do you feel, when's the first time this has happened, and what kind of tests have they run before, what kind of diagnosis have they looked for. And something else that they had looked for previously was Marfan syndrome. Typically people with Marfan syndrome are really tall and they have a really long arm span, and they can do funny things with their fingers, such as when you put your thumb out, it sticks out to the other side. Without having to push your finger, you can just do it. And my thumb sticks out. I know it's weird, right? But it's a thing. So anyway, he was just asked, and so he said, okay, they ruled that out. What else have they looked into? And he wanted to know all about my symptoms. He wanted to know everything, like what leads up to you passing out? How do you feel afterwards? How long does it take for you to come to? All these things. And I feel like that was like the most I've ever talked to a doctor or cardiologist. So he said, okay, we're going to do an echocardiogram. We're going to look at the structure of your heart, basically like a sonogram of your heart. And we're going to do something called a tilt table test. And this is basically going to reproduce an episode. They call them episodes. And we're going to see what happens. So I said, okay. So I went for my echocardiogram, and they checked that out, and then they don't tell you the results or anything. You have to wait till you see the doctor. So I did that. That was, I want to say, the longest sonogram I've ever had. It was like an hour and 15 minutes of looking at my heart from every which way. And then the day of the tilt table test came, which was about 3 weeks out from that day, of course. That's how everything is, right? It takes forever. And I was, again, the anxiety, heartburn, just bad, because I thought nothing's going to happen. It always happens when nobody's looking, or when I hide it, I guess, is why nobody's looking. So he said, okay, so the tilt table test, you're going to be laying down on this table, and we're going to strap you down. So I had straps like on my ankles and my knees, my waist, my chest, and arms, because they don't want you to fall off. So I was laying down. They started an IV, and this is done in the hospital, like in an OR, in case something happens, you're already there in the OR. And he said, what we're going to do is just lay down, have a little bit of saline, just start the IV, but they're not going to put medicine. He's like, we're not going to actually run the IV, we're just going to start it. And you're just going to lay down, and then when it's time to start the test, we'll slowly tilt the table. And they did. It was super slow. I was thinking it was going to be like a roller coaster. Something's going to, crazy tilt the table back and forth. No, it wasn't anything like that. It was just like flat, and then it came very slowly, just tilted, and then it was like not straight up, but it was just like that. And they said, once you get to that position, we're just going to wait maybe 30 minutes, see what happens. And then if nothing is produced, we're going to give you this medication to try to stimulate your heart to go into like a passing out mode to see how your body reacts. So I said, okay. So we start the test, we do that, we get real slow, we get up there. And when I have gone up, and it's been maybe about 4 minutes, I start getting really uncomfortable, and I start fidgeting like I want to move. And I noticed that I wanted to like rock, and I was trying to move my leg. Of course I was strapped to the table, couldn't move, but felt like I needed to move, like I needed to move around. I don't know, claustrophobic or something. And then maybe about 7 minutes went by, I'm not really sure, and I started passing out, and come back and pass out, and come back and pass out. So they left me like that till maybe about 5 minutes, and then they said, okay, put her down. So then went down, they put fluids, they let me rest and not talk, and just kind of recover for about an hour. And then the doctor came in, and he immediately prescribed me heart medication and said, we didn't even have to wait the 30-45 minutes before we gave you medicine to induce an episode. You went into passing out right away. So we know for sure that you have POTS. It's about the posture that you have, and it has to do with blood flow. So sometimes somebody with POTS, now I know, and I've noticed, when I stand, I'll rock back and forth, or I'll move, or I'll fidget, and it's really to help my body like tense my leg muscles to help that blood flow get up to my brain so that I don't feel fuzzy and pass out. But since I couldn't move because I was strapped to the table, that's what caused me to pass out. And it was like 4 or 5 minutes of just standing straight, and that's what happened. It was crazy. It was scary, but I was so glad. I said, oh, thank goodness that they were able to see something finally, to know what happens, and to, I don't know, believe me finally. And so he talked to me and explained a few things, and he said, I'm a cardiologist. I typically tell my patients, stay away from salt, eat healthy and all that. I said, but you need to eat extra salt, lots of salt, add salt to everything, drink salt water. It's going to help you stay not just hydrated, but those veins to stay expanded and stay correctly inflated, to move everything around, to move that blood flow the proper way. So that's how I got to my POTS diagnosis. So I started on that medicine, metoprolol, and then as time went by, I saw him. I had been seeing him every 4 weeks or so since then. I still have been seeing him that often. And we've changed a few medicines from then. I've started on Midodrine, which helps increase my blood pressure. I take that 4 times a day. And the metoprolol I just take once at night. And I also take venlafaxine, which helps with my brain fog. That's something that I I didn't realize that I had, again, I guess because I've dealt with it or because I've tried to compensate for it. But it helps so much. I can get things done so much faster. It helps me concentrate. It helps me not feel fuzzy, stuff like that. But I love to read and learn new things, and I love my job. And so I feel like that helps me because it motivates me to concentrate and to read and to do these things that I like to do anyway. So, but now definitely with these medications, I feel like it's a lot easier and it helps me stay upright for sure and just feel better throughout the day. And then August maybe is when I started doing the infusions, the IV therapy, and that basically has salt in it, sodium chloride solution, and potassium, and it just helps me stay hydrated, helps me absorb and keep everything in there. It helps keeps those veins nice and plump. That's what that's for. And then all of this stuff. Okay, how did this even lead to the POTS? Lead from POTS to EDS. So we'll get there next time. See ya.